people, my name is Nick and welcome back to 24-bit. I guess it's been a while since we did an episode, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
Like look, it's the first time I'm seeing you since the year started.
It's also the first time I'm seeing you.
It's only but it's only like 15 days. No, chanza tumeonana kweli since the year started like.
Bado tumeonana mtandaoni peke yake.
Yeah, maybe on the internet. Dixon not around today, so I'm Nick Anali.
Chenza Emmanuel.
Kaluka Wanjala.
Yes, Dixon is away today. Still on holiday, maybe. Yeah, and today, guys, I want us to talk about mobile money rates. Like, I mean, over the past couple of days, you've seen people complaining about how much banks are charging them, transferring money from their bank accounts to their M-Pesa. People complaining how Safaricom M-Pesa is expensive and all this. Let's start from the normal services we use, which is M-Pesa, the common one that most of us use. Do you think it's an expensive service as people actually refer to it? I saw someone up talking about convenience, which is a fact.
I don't necessarily think it's expensive, but it's also not cheap. And especially if you use Safaricom a lot and you try to calculate how much you spend on the transaction fees, it can be quite a lot. But when most people are complaining about, the transactions being a bit higher, for me, it doesn't necessarily make sense, because if you look at most maybe money transfer services, the charges are usually around 2% of the transaction. But if Safaricom implemented that sort of 2% of the transaction, it would be very expensive for those people who send low amounts. But it can work, because if you're sending 1,000 shillings and it's 2%, that's around 20 bob. So maybe it can work, but then you're thinking about if you're sending a lot of money, how will it be? But for me, it's not that expensive. As you've said, the convenience is there. It's still not cheap, but the convenience is there. Especially if you calculate how much you spend every month on Safaricom charges, it can be quite a lot, but I don't think it's too expensive as people put it.
Wait until you receive that M-Pesa statement. I'm even scared of opening.
And especially if you are sending Safaricom to Safaricom, if you're sending money to other M-Pesa users, it's not that expensive. But if you are using other services, like sending to banks, it can be expensive.
Is it something you agree with, Chenza?
Nah, M-Pesa is expensive.
See?
If you look at it, it depends from where you sit. Now, if you're going to compare before M-Pesa, how will you get money to the next person? Yeah, it used to be money order. Money order, which will take several days, depending on where you are, to get to you, then a trip to the postal office and all those things. So when you compare to all that, that's when you get the perspective of the convenience of M-Pesa, especially when you badly want to send money to someone. At that time, you have the money, they are far away. But that convenience comes at a cost that I consider to be steep. To be honest, I've been doing everything I can to just avoid using the platform. There are other instances of convenience, like say you are a freelancer, you work online, you get paid online too, so money comes via PayPal, then you do a PayPal to M-Pesa transfer, it takes 2 hours to clear and you're good. At that point, most times maybe you won't mind the cost of the convenience, but a lot of times when I'm just there sending money and I'm just parting with huge amounts, you see what the expensive bit of M-Pesa is relative here, because what has made a lot of us come to that conclusion is when you compare to other services that have since entered the market. So I'll be there considering if this person has a bank account or is on Loop, I can just send to their Loop wallet, or I can just send to their bank account, and maybe bank to bank the fees are lower, or it's free. If it's on Loop, it's free. Equity charges depending on the medium you're using. If you're using the app, they'll charge you 30 bob. If you are just doing an STK Equitel to another equity account, it will be free, something like that. Now, such a backdrop makes you come to a conclusion that M-Pesa is expensive. Of course, when you look at your statement, you are in for a shock. But at the end of the day, too, there's also a price to the convenience, and the technologies have to be paid for. There are several factors involved. The messaging platform it runs on, there are people who run it, and all those things, they have to be paid for. But knowing all of that, I don't think all of that should, I always feel like those fees as they are. If I send 1,000 bob and the cost of the withdrawal is 27 bob, And the cost of sending that is what? How many? 11 shillings or something? Yeah. Now you add the 11 to the 27 because, well, some of us do send na kutoa and others don't. But so you are looking at roughly almost 40 shillings. That's 38 bob. Yeah, it tends to be an unnecessary evil we have to part with. Yeah, my biggest grievance actually is when using pay bill numbers. Yeah, like those. So like the short of it is, to me, M-Pesa has become expensive. But why most won't see it that way is because it's a huge tool for convenience, and also saying it's expensive most times comes from a point of privilege. You have a bank account, you have access to these other online services you can use. So that's not the reality for a lot of Kenyans, and that's why mobile money is popular here. And that's why we are so unique. It might not take off elsewhere, but that's why we are so unique. So it's simple, it's on your phone, it just works. There's a cost that comes to that, and it's not cheap. That we can agree on. But running away from it too is also not cheap. Yeah, there's a barrier to entry, and that barrier to entry locks away so many Kenyans. It's actually why M-Pesa took off in the first place.
Because even when you see what people are talking about, the last couple of weeks about M-Pesa being expensive, it was about comparison. Like, you have so many other options that look cheaper, but when you look at what M-Pesa charges, it looks expensive, right? But again, as you say, it's not like we're just privileged, some of us, to even have these options. But go mbali when someone doesn't have a bank account, the only thing they know is M-Pesa. So you give Unambia, you can use this mobile app, they even don't know what this mobile app, how it works on there and anything. So it's about privileges, as you say.
Per se, because all these other guys could also do a lot of the groundwork, the same groundwork that Safaricom has done for over a decade now in terms of getting M-Pesa everywhere. It's just almost like where you can find a Coca-Cola, you can find an M-Pesa shop.
We even have using a USD code for M-Pesa, right? Does it?
No.
Do we have
for the helpline?
For the helpline, okay.
Yeah. So everyone else can also do their groundwork to have the same kind of footprint that Safaricom has, so that their services, which are affordable, stop being limited to a few who have the means or the know-how and sounding like privilege when they really aren't. Me just not wanting to pay what I think is more than I should and sending a transaction for free. There's no privilege that comes with wanting free things. Yeah. If anything, if you go online, people take pride in having the most expensive things and showing them off. So just wanting free things is actually is what? Being a cheapskate.
I mean, enough of M-Pesa. Why are bank transactions so expensive? Bank to mobile transaction. I mean, I was just telling how much Stanbic charges me to transfer money from my Stanbic account to my M-Pesa account. That's a lot of money.
For me, I think when you look at most banks, especially in Kenya, they are sort of still working with the mentality that they had over the years. So they're thinking about the bank as being the traditional sort of bank. You go in, you do the transaction. They have not adapted into the changing technologies into how people are interacting with the bank and using their services. Because for me, even some banks charge you for depositing money from your M-Pesa to your account. They charge you. But if you go to the counter with the same amount, they won't charge. So what doesn't make sense? Because at the counter there's someone who's there. So and they're paid. So if it had to make sense, you should charge me for me depositing money in cash. Rather than using the app or using any other service. It never makes sense to me. But for me, the way banks work, that's how they've always operated, and that's why it doesn't make sense to me. So they never want to change, they never want to adapt. They want to work the same way they've always worked and make more money. So for them, it's maximizing their profits. At the end of the day, they want to make more money. The maximum amount of money they can make from every user. And that's why
they don't believe disruption exists.
Probably the people sitting at the top, they don't see the disruption coming. So because if you're looking at most banks are big, they have the money, they can spend the money to create new products. So they probably think that disruption will not necessarily take them out. So because they know that we are big, we can do anything we want.
That's a very bad mentality to have in this day and age.
If you think about it, most big companies think the same way. You know, if you're a small player, imagine if when Safaricom came with M-Pesa, most banks did not necessarily think it's a competitor. Yeah. Until now, even when you look at some of the services they brought in, PesaLink and stuff, They just came the other day.
Yeah.
And Safaricom M-Pesa has been around for all those years. Banks didn't necessarily see Safaricom and M-Pesa as a competitor. And even now, they don't know how to compete with Safaricom.
So they are not integrating,
Yeah, if you look at most of their apps, they just have the M-Pesa services on their apps. And they say that it's a fintech whatever.
Fintech, financial technology. Okay.
So I think it's about the mentality that they know that they're big and they know that they have the numbers, but they don't see competition coming to them. And that's the problem, where the problem lies.
I never take anyone who doesn't believe in competition seriously. Things are changing. This is a different century. At least you adapt to the new tech.
With the top guys from these banks. They don't see the competition the same way you do. Because for them, they'll do their research. Someone will come and tell them, we have these numbers, we can do this to get new customers. That's why you see most of these banks coming up with the apps. Because someone told them, this is how people are using their smartphones. I mean, for example, if you look at one of the apps, M-Key, it's I can say it's very useless. But when you listen to some of the people who created the product talking about it, you'll think that they know everything about finance, because they know about they're using their history in the industry to sort of come up with products that they think people will like. But at the end of the day...
But I think these are people who maybe have a lot of experience. They really understand the Kenyan market or the African market. They understand what consumers want. So if they decide to come up with a product, it needs to be a product that consumers can easily use. Okay, let's not even talk about M-Key. That's a discussion for another day.
My thoughts are banks have been slow to innovate. Why we are talking about M-Pesa today is because M-Pesa just came and ate their lunch and dinner. End of story. Like, it was in their place to innovate. Because why M-Pesa is popular in this country, it serves a need. That need had the people it serves had, at least a huge majority of them, had long been ignored by the traditional financial institutions, so your banks. They'd never factor that in. That's why we ideally, there was quite a number of people who are using their M-Pesa wallets as a places to store money. Someone sends money to you, you don't withdraw it, you don't use it to buy anything, it just stays there until your next need. And that's why M-Shwari came about. While M-Shwari today is popular because of the loans it gives out, it was meant to be a saving tool. And that saving component is there. That's why you have the 52 weeks saving challenge, and it's grown up to have those features like a lock savings account and everything. But the whole conceptualization around M-Shwari was so that people can save, because people are leaving money there, not withdrawing it, not sending it to anyone, and not spending it in any way until their next need arises. So like a bank account of sorts. So the banks could have sorted those people out, right? But they never did, because for all those many other reasons, all those many barriers they had created for a while. So if these are the same people you're banking on, to take us into the whatever fintech future it was, they have a lot of soul searching to do and reinventing themselves. A number have done, like I'm a big fan of what Equity does, much as also they're also part of this bandwagon that has charges that don't make sense. Like I was engaging their reps on Twitter and they were asserting that equity to equity transfers on our Equity platform is for free if you're using the SIM toolkit on your phone. On the mobile app, which is from the same people, the same bank, the same institution, equity to equity is 30 bucks.
That makes sense.
Yeah, make it make sense.
You're doing the same transaction, the same thing.
Exactly. On the same phone.
In the same bank.
Yeah, exactly. While I get the bit where they'd want to drive me to become an Equitel subscriber, of which I am, so probably this is targeted at everyone else who isn't, and to use their Equitel platform. These people are in the financial business, not the telecoms industry, right? There's a huge difference between Equitel, say, and Safaricom. Safaricom is a mobile network operator that also doubles up as a financial services provider by partnering with players in the finance industry. Like all our M-Pesa transactions go through CBA and they handle some stuff through KCB, right? So Safaricom is core telecoms. It's a mobile network operator. That's not what Equitel is. They are a virtual mobile network operator, but the reason why they got the license to be an MVNO is so that they could provide financial services on that platform. That's when you hear Equity, you don't remember calling rates or data bundles. You know it's money, and this network they have is an enabler towards reaching that. So why will they want me to be pushed towards their network? Because when you have an app on any other phone, I could be having an Android phone, I could be having an iPhone, I could be an Airtel subscriber, I could be a Safaricom subscriber, I could be a Telcom, or what is this alliance Airtel Telcom is called? Whatever it is. Yeah. I could be that, or I could even be roaming, whatever. Having an app on my phone is just a gateway to me wherever I am. It doesn't matter what network I'm using. Now, why will you want me to lock me into your network? If that is the motive towards charging for equity to equity transfers on the app, on the Easy Banking app, and not charging for them using the same toolkit, like make it make sense. You see, it's the same decisions that these people make that you don't understand. Like every other time they release their annual reports or half-year reports, these banks, you read them. You will find them saying that they're shrinking how they serve people at the branch because more and more customers are using phones and everything. If you go to the Cooperative Bank branch on Digo Road in Mombasa, they have a whole banking hall where you just go, you can phone in, you can like self-serve, no tellers. Which I find to be very progressive. But if that's the route you're going, then why are you charging people for using the phones? Because if I go to a teller, the teller is paid by whatever terms. When I'm doing this self-service on my phone, if you have to charge me, it should be because this platform I'm using, Cooperative Bank is not a mobile network operator, so I'm using the resources of a mobile network operator, which they've hired for that time being. They buy bulk SMS, they use certain APIs, there are third parties that need to be paid, other than paying for the integrations that happen to make it that convenience. Why should I foot any other cost? Because their charges are exorbitant.
Maybe it's just your data only.
No, I'm not open to just avoiding charges at all, but make the charges reasonable too. Because at the end of the day, also the engineers behind these systems that need to be paid, there's storage space occupied, like the technicalities. So there's justifiable reasons to take some coins from my wallet, but those reasons don't include you charging almost 40 bob to check balance for balance inquiry.
40 bob, which bank is that?
Cooperative is charged 37 shillings and 50 cents. After a lot of outcry on Twitter and long after I'd left the bank for those reasons, recently they finally took that away. I think it was in December they announced they are withdrawing that charge.
Bank with Coop, right?
They announced they are doing away that charge. Sisi Equity tulikuwa tukiangalia balance bure.
My bank charges me 12 bob to check.
If there's any charge you should incur, it's for the premium rate SMS you're using. And that's about it. What I think is banks have been getting supernormal profits for the longest time. At the dawn of this tech age, they just figured this another avenue, and you can't blame them. They have a responsibility to their shareholders to make money. But that's why you're also calling them out. Yeah.
The funny thing about especially the COP thing, they never communicate the charges, especially for the app. So most people, especially for example, when you're checking your balance, you can imagine that you probably do check your balance a few times in a month, and they never tell you. So the only time you see it is when you get your statements. Then you see some 37 bob somewhere, 37. So, and they never communicate, because even there was a time if you wanted to activate your card for online transactions, so you go fill up the phone and you can activate it for a number of days that you want. For example, if you're traveling, they used to charge, I think, 30 bob per day, or is it 38 bob per day? And they never communicate. Imagine that if you're traveling for, let's say, for a week, and you're coming back, it's around, I don't know how. So you come back and you're looking at your, and if you look at your statement, you see some 30 bob. You're wondering. And that's the problem for me I've had with COP. Even if you're charging something, at least communicate. For example, Safaricom, you know that if I'm sending money, this is how much I'm being charged. Even when you are completing the transaction, you can see this is how much I'll be charged. For these other banks, you just find yourself with...
But I think banks are always about profits. I mean, that's why they quickly issue loans, and they're also very fast to auction people's stuff, you know.
And any other business is about profits. No one sets out to start a business to make losses, so we can't fault them for that. It's just that for the service that you're offering us, just don't squeeze us that much. You make it make sense. You see, that's the whole point. Because number one, why M-Pesa was successful is the inclusion bit. There was a fence here, and people were locked out of it. M-Pesa opened that gate, people got in. Now that we are inside there, we're also pushing the boundaries by saying, let's be accommodative. So this is not limited to just Safaricom, even the banks themselves too. Because how they build these services and how they provide them, because it's also not even the best way anyway. Was actually a way for a lot of them to differentiate themselves from M-Pesa, offer added value, and keep customers who they've had for a long while. Because someone who just cleared school, got a SIM card, registered for M-Pesa, and it works for them, you really need convincing reasons for them as to why they need a bank account. Yes. So if they're not going to get into any of these systems, or where an employer needs to send a salary or something they need a bank account for, you'll never have.
Trust me, even some of us just have bank accounts because we work with people who actually need. But if up to us, like up to me, I'll never have a bank account.
Even for me, you can imagine how many times do you go to the bank to actually to do anything except to deposit your check? Because I don't use any other banking services except check deposits. And that's it.
When was the last time you went to the ATM?
Me, I use the ATM a lot because Coop with their app. The funny thing about the app is I don't know what, I got a new phone, so I wanted to activate the mobile banking thing. They notified me and they told me I had to go to the bank. I don't know to activate what. So I saw that the whole process, I can't do it because I have the app on my phone. Why should I again go to the bank to fill
And it's the same thing. Why, like, you don't need to physically go to the bank to... Like, I saw someone complain about the same problem online care, actually. I saw him post a tweet about a problem with this app. They told, okay, you have to come to the branch, to your branch, fill some forms. I'm like, come on. Some things I can do. Yeah, I mean, why do I need to physically visit your bank to do something?
Do you know, that's why I love Loop, and this might sound like an ad for Loop, but I'm just a happy customer.
It's not sponsored.
Loop, I opened the Loop account from my phone, which a lot of banks actually do these days, so nothing unique there. But ever since then, there's been zero incentive to visit any of those Loop centers that they have. I have an issue. They actually have a ticketing system built into the app, so that customer service system works. You just go there, type your issues, you will be assigned a ticket number, and they'll follow up. And where they don't call, you'll actually get text alerts about what's going on. Yeah. The other bit, you can actually write an email to go to the same system, and they are very responsive, and it works 24 hours a day. Like, that should be my idea of customer service in a bank, not going to queue for 4 hours and then to be dismissed. Like a lot of them have dropped the ball, and a lot of them could just use Loop to understand the new age customers they're serving, because a lot of banking products are made for my father and members of his generation. Yet those people are not actively out there engaging bank services. Like, the banks just need to shape up, and a good way of attracting a new age customer is in terms of the charges. We don't have that. We don't have any money to give away in the first place. We just have enough to pay for the convenience to get our money. Because if you're going to charge me an arm and a leg for an inquiry, na saa hizo nimesota ni tuso tunataka kutoa. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you see, they need to shape up.
Because for me, I think what he was talking about Loop, when you look at Loop and you look at the whole product, it's something that people sat down and thought about building a product to serve a need. When you look at some of these other banks and their apps, sort of that have an app there. We had M-Pesa, you can check your balance, you can transfer money to your M-Pesa, and that's it. So they don't necessarily think about the mobile aspect and the people who are going to use their products. They just think about, okay, we have people who have money in their accounts and they're using our bank, so let's make it easier for them to just send money to M-Pesa or to other users. But you don't necessarily think about the whole process. Because if you are charging me 70 bob to send money, it doesn't make sense.
Honestly, I've never used Airtel Money. I've used Airtel Money.
I've never used Airtel Money.
We have you have an Airtel line, right? An Airtel number.
Yeah.
As in, Airtel is, what can I say? It's sort of one of those products that they never caught on to what the consumers wanted. So it's sort of, people just trusted Safaricom from the beginning. And then when Airtel came into the market, they didn't have enough agents, so you didn't know where to go and register. So even if you're using Airtel Money, if I want to send someone money, where will I find an agent to deposit money into my account? And if I want to withdraw, where will I find an agent to withdraw? Compare that to Safaricom. In Safaricom, you can just walk out of here and find about 5 agents. So for Airtel, I don't even know. I think they should be cheaper than Safaricom. But if people are not using your network in the beginning, you can be cheaper all you want, but you're not good.
Yeah, we used to get free U cards and never used. So Kenyans are peculiar like that. But the other bit is, who wants to, if you want money and you're in Nairobi, you don't want to go to Marsabit to withdraw, right? Like there are so many things to unpack when it comes to Airtel Money and what they need to do. But the other bit is, we have a solution that works, and that is M-Pesa, and of course these others that the banks are coming up with that work. Will they do much better with a lot of competition? Yes. So everyone needs to figure their stuff up. I don't know what kind of regulation will come in, but it will only ruin it. It's a free market after all. So the thing is, just these people need to look out for their customers, really. Yeah. Where there are punitive charges, just make them make sense. That's not too much to ask for, is it? Yeah, because ideally I tend to be very wary about when paying. Yeah, a lot of those pay bill charges are extraordinarily high. Yeah, there's the convenience factor, but nowadays, at least for those of us with these apps, and I've signed on to a lot of these services, the alternatives where you'll pay cheaper. Like, I wouldn't pay for my DSTV 30 or 40 bob more or 20 bob more, where I can actually pay it less, or I can pay it for free. There's that too. Maybe why a lot of the players are not worried is because those other services don't pull in as many numbers. Yeah. And then more and more systems are being built around mobile money. You want to buy tokens, you want to pay for satellite TV, all those things. You want to pay for your water bill. And just the convenience that it brings about. You remember going to queue somewhere to pay, and then which the fare to that place and the fare back is almost what Safaricom is asking for. So it's an easier way out to just pay Safaricom. There are like so many factors, but there's that.
Maybe I should try to do a comparison between M-Pesa and Airtel money charges. You'll be surprised actually Airtel is cheaper.
My guess is Airtel is cheaper, but to attract people to use their product. But the problem is, like, where are you going to? Because most people, even when you're thinking about Lipa and M-Pesa, pay bill, those things, especially Lipa and M-Pesa, buy goods, most of the time you can find the Safaricom M-Pesa, they do accept M-Pesa, Lipa and M-Pesa. But for Airtel,
there's never a net option.
So you'll have money in your account.
Supermarket and pay for that.
You'll have money in your account, but you can't pay for things. So what's the point?
T-Cash is the telecom one, right?
Yeah. T-Cash is by telecom.
There also used to be MobiCash.
So MobiCash is owned by still telecom?
No. I can't remember the company, but
now that we are having a telecom Airtel merger, will they have their own mobile money service?
I think it depends the way they structure the new company. If they, because I've not even been interested in what they're doing. But if they combine everything, they'll probably have one. But even T-Cash is one of the new ones, but I've never seen a T-Cash agent. I just know that they're somewhere there, but...
And I think that's why M-Pesa wins, actually.
Because M-Pesa has grown over the years, if you think about it. And there's sort of... People have gotten used to the service in their lives. So you can use M-Pesa literally anywhere. So even if someone doesn't have the Lipa and M-Pesa thing, you can just send them the money. But so you can imagine if you have on the other lines, can you send someone money with their Telecom something and you're asking them, can I send you T-Cash? No. So M-Pesa has grown over the years. So when the level they're at right now, they can innovate a lot compared to the other players. When you look at Airtel and T-Cash and sort of those new products, they still have to get people into using their services before they start innovating in other ways. Because you can imagine, even if they have their pay bill numbers and sort of things, and they have them in the Swiss. Imagine that they have them there, but people are not using the agent numbers. So the supermarket will not see the use of having them there. So
let's go back to M-Key. Right? Well, it's a good product.
My problem with M-Key is when they started the app, they wanted to be like was it WeChat or Weibo? Yeah, so you want to have everything within the app. And that was their main goal. So you get into the app and you don't leave. You can do literally anything, everything in the app. So that was their mentality.
And the app is a keyboard.
That's the thing. The app is a keyboard, and also you can do the banking, because they also had the section for the news things, and I've seen even NIC Bank has those. So you have a section for news. You can go there, read some of the gossip or something like that. Tech news. They had a lot within the app, and when you look at the app, it's sort of not thought through. So it's someone just sat somewhere and saw in China WeChat is it WeChat or WeChat is very big. Yeah. So they thought this is our next thing.
Wait, and you have to make the keyboard your primary keyboard to be using these services?
And no, because the keyboard is there. You can use just the keyboard independently, the way you use a third-party keyboard, let's say SwiftKey or something like that. But if you use the keyboard, there's some of the sort of features that you can, for example, send money. You can just find it within the keyboard without having to go to the app. So that's one of the reasons why they wanted people to use the keyboard. But if you don't want to use the keyboard, you can still use the app to send money, to read the...
I downloaded when it first came out. I tried using it for a day and I couldn't use it past 2 days. Because I think it's just too busy, just too...
I think they added a lot of things within a very short time when they are starting out. They could have started with the pure banking functions and then keep adding the new features as need arise.
And still they have those rates they use. They charge you to do all these transactions.
I think the rates sending to M-Key, I think, was it free or something? I don't even remember. But I've even seen the new NIC bank has all those added features that you don't need.
I should maybe check it out and review it.
Is that M-Key still alive? And what were the charges? Were they still the M-Key was an equity product, right? Or the charges were still the same standard equity charges, or there was anything else unique? I never ever got to try it. I just stayed away from it from day one.
I think they were a bit cheaper than their main focus was the M-Pesa services. So mostly the Lipa and M-Pesa send money. So that's what they were focusing on, because at that time the M-Pesa API was just out, I think. So it wasn't that well known. So they wanted to tap into that so that people who wanted to use the services, they can just find it within the app.
Then, before I forget, I saw Loop added this feature in the app. We can transfer money straight from M-Pesa.
Yeah, I'm not so it's a nice one, but I'm not so excited about it because while it makes it easier to do that, you're still paying the transaction fees, aren't you?
You're talking about how we can save money.
Yeah. So I'm not so particularly, because I saw it when the update went live. I only encountered it like a week later when Telvin tweeted about it. So I was really looking forward to using it. And then every time I was transferring money to my Loop, because all the bits that I had, I'll just use the Safaricom app to do that. Then recently I got a chance to do a deposit from Loop and I was disappointed. So it's still the same old process, but made easier. There's no difference. The same heart in your pocket stays.
Well, hopefully some of these banks or these providers get a chance to listen to this podcast. Yeah.
No. They don't necessarily need to listen. Most importantly, they need to listen to their customers, because their customers have been saying this for a while. We can say all you want and parrot about these services being convenient, but the convenience needs to be backed up by less pain on our wallets, on our pockets. And there's an argument being peddled online that these are optional. You can just stay away. Come on, in this day and age, there are things we can't avoid, and that's why you have to make noise around them. And hopefully, someone sensible listens and acts on it. I've watched an interview recently where Michael Joseph admitted, these charges are getting out of hand and everything, and that's positive. Yeah, I just hope now it goes beyond saying. It goes beyond saying, and we actually see some action, because Safaricom is the big player in that. And then these other banks, they need to follow COP's lead and just listen also to the feedback of their customers and remove any ridiculous charges and just harmonize their fees. Let them make sense. Yeah, because we are not about to stop using these services.
Yeah. If you're listening to this podcast, tell us how much your bank charges to make a bank to M-Pesa transfer. Does it also charge you to do M-Pesa to bank transfer? That's another thing. Yeah.
Most people don't know.
Yeah, some even don't know. But yes, I think that's it. Thanks for listening, guys. Remember, we will be doing 2 episodes every month, right?
You can expect to hear from us more often than you have been in the past. It's a new decade. New us, new things.
So a lot of content coming up, a lot of podcasts. We are at Portable Office Studios. My name is Nick Anali. I blog at techtrends.ke.co.ke.
Chenze Emmanuel, 100kenya.com.
Kaluka Wanjala, tekarina.co.ke. Yes, and Dixon, as we said, is away. Techish.com. Yes. With a hyphen. Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for listening to this podcast. Until next time, bye.